the defense has been, and rightfully so. A couple weeks ago when you played the Patriots at home, you guys were in a middle of a tough time. More so than how good they've been this year, how important and impressive you've been with the way they've responded and fought through adversity.
I missed the first part of your question, Matt, because of the technology here. What was it you said? I heard defense.
Yeah, more so than just that. We've talked so much about how good the defense has been, but how impressive has it been from your vantage point as a coach with how they've been that good at that level, even despite some adversity, along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could say the same for our entire team. Very, very resilient group. Just the ebbs and flows of any season, as I've mentioned before, of this season in particular, where, hey man, this is type of year that could have gone in a different direction. But the resiliency of our group as a whole has gotten it to where we're in the playoffs, we win the division again, and I think there's a lot of traits from that part of our season alone that you can use going forward.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I heard you going into a little detail on the radio just now about the way you operate practice under these conditions and things like that. Can you expand a little bit on the decision-making process between inside and out, and how maybe the mechanics of bringing things outdoors in these conditions can maybe not allow you to do everything practice-wise that you would hope to and you can indoors?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things, sometimes just getting even certain apparatuses, down to the stadium field, the sleds sometimes, although our equipment manager does a great job, Jeff Mazurek, with that. So there's some challenges that way. There's also challenges of staying inside, with space sometimes. And so we could talk about that for probably hours, John, honestly. But, the biggest thing we wanted to do is always, I believe, in getting out where you're going to play the game, is to be in that environment as much as you can, all the while not trying to put too much physiological stress on the players too early in the week, and trying to balance that as well. So I think we've done a good job of tiering it into Saturday at this point.
And I was really fascinated with the thought of freezing the footballs. Where did you learn that? And is the ball frozen or extra cold throughout the entire practice, or is it just for the quarterbacks, or where did that come from?
Yeah, it's just, we talk about it as a staff. And so those guys, tried to cool those balls down a little bit. And, as even growing up, when you're playing in the backyard and it's cold, I'm sure in Buffalo, right, for a lot of people out there, that's the case this time of year, trying to go out there and just play touch football or tackle or whatever. And the ball gets slick because it is so firm, right? And so just trying to make sure, just like anything, that we try to adapt our guys to that as much as possible.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean. I know you also mentioned on the radio that it's looking like everyone will be available for the game, and just having all the receivers available again. It's been a while since you guys have been at full strength there. So just what are you looking for out of that group as a whole, and trying to, again, decide just how to spread the ball among all those guys?
Yeah, I think symmetry is real and important for any team, or in this case, position group that you're talking about, Catherine, and those guys being able to have the same energy, whether they're getting the ball or not, and adding to our team. I think it's huge for that group in this game.
Thanks.
Hey, Sean, kind of going off what Catherine just asked, you guys are really healthy. I mean, going into the playoff game and at this time of year, obviously a few guys who lost during the season, but do you take time to I know you don't have a lot of time, but do you take a second to appreciate what it means to have such a healthy roster at this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you look at it, we have lost 3 players that are starters for us, or in Zim's case, started at times for us. So you'd love to have those guys also. Ike and Trey are really good players as well. So, but I think there's, things that have gone into that have led us up to this point, not just luck, but how we balance the schedule. Could we have used Emmanuel last week? Potentially, but you go into a game risking the fact that you may not have your best lineup so that you can have it this week. And so there's some risk involved in that. But I think altogether we've done a good job, and the players have done a good job of trying to stay as healthy as possible.
When you were going into this season, kind of preparing, you mentioned there's things you've done throughout the year to kind of try and keep guys as healthy as possible. Were there things you had learned from previous seasons that you were like, hey, if we do this, I think it'll help us stay healthy? Or was it kind of just, how did you kind of get to those?
Yeah, I think, again, it's all hands on deck type of situation, Elena, with that. And between myself, our strength and conditioning staff, sports science, medical staff, we've tried to do as good a job as we can. And sometimes it just works totally against you. Not against you, but just you don't have the element of luck, and you just get hit with a ton of injuries. We've done a good job over the years of, I think, balancing all of that juggling act to get ourselves in a good position towards the end of the season with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sean, I think you also mentioned on the radio just, still trying to decide who will be on for punt returns as we get closer to the game. But just from like a personal coaching philosophy standpoint, is that something like, do you kind of update guys each day as it gets closer? Do you not really say much until it gets close to the game? Or just for you, what does that look like of if different guys might get called upon, preparing them, but also not putting it in writing if it could change at any minute?
Yeah, I mean, that's how things work. Sometimes because we're dealing with humans in terms of things can change day to day, especially now with COVID, just with inactives, people who are inactive or active each week. So that's real. Generally speaking, we try and communicate as much as we can, as early as we can in the week. But again, every situation is a little bit different.
And I guess just to follow up, is it any different at guys who might be returning or return specialists versus other positions where there are so many external weather factors at play, or is it the same across the roster?
No, I think every situation is different. You try and do always, Catherine, what's best for the team. But there's no specific formula for it because, again, every situation is different, even because of weather sometimes, and weather changes, as we know in Western New York in particular, quite a bit.
Makes sense. Thank you.